We made it.
We made it?
We made it.
Okay.
Yo.
Oh man, I commend your patience.
I commend the patience of everyone because it's not easy.
You you really are lighthearted, brother. You really are.
Got to keep it light.
You are lighthearted. I was asking, before we got interrupted last time,
Hmm.
you said a word, you said ma'at. And
Yes.
I wanted to know how it related to being lighthearted when you said ma'at. Like what
Right.
how does that relate?
So from my understanding, and give me a moment, I'm just inviting a few of my followers to actually join the transmission so that they can benefit here. Want to make sure that people can actually tap in and tune in. So with the Ma'at, with the lighthearted, so the legend, the story goes in this ancient original Kemetic story of creation that the whole concept of light as a feather, your heart is light as a feather, came from the concept of Ma'at, which was the divine goddess of truth and justice. And that when you die and your soul leaves your body to go on to its next version, in order to have a life in the afterlife, they weigh your heart. So they put you on the scale and they weigh your heart. The heart is on one side and the feather is on the other side. And
Hmm.
your heart has to be lighter than the feather for you to be permitted into an eternal afterlife. If your heart
Hmm.
is not light as the feather, you get thrust back into reincarnation and you have to try again.
Okay. So you
So
have to repeat the cycle.
you repeat the cycle. And
Wow.
I could be misaccurate. If there's any Kemetic specialists or initiates in the call, feel free to correct me. But that's my understanding of it is that, why would your heart, like, what would make your heart heavier than a feather? That would be not living in your truth, any unbridged karma, karmic debts, any sort of inauthenticity that you took to the grave, essentially would weigh heavy on your heart. So that's where that comes from. And Ma'at is the goddess of truth and justice, and that's where we get the 42 admonitions of Ma'at, which is the precursor to the Ten Commandments in the Christian Bible. Um, it's these 42 admonitions. So you're admitting that I have not sinned, I have not lied, I have not cheated, I have not stolen, I have not committed adultery against my brother, I have not, done these things,
Right.
right? And so, what that's the thing. You come to the gates of heaven, and you have to speak those 42 admonitions of Ma'at,
Hmm.
and it's like a lie detector test, right? You have to when you speak it, it has to be true for you. I have not stolen. Okay, is your heart remaining light? Your heart got heavier. Okay, you thrust back into that reincarnation cycle.
Wow. So it's like a comedic, like a lie detector. Oh my
Ah,
gosh. Okay.
yes. As Rising Gold stated here, our hearts are weighed every night as we rest when we go into the spiritual realm.
Wow.
Hmm.
This is powerful already, brother. Brother Jordan, when it came to Kemetic teachings, like, where did you learn about this? Like, when did you learn about this?
Wow. So I've been part of many different lineages, and I've been exposed to many different um, teachers over the years. I would
Hmm.
say my first exposure would actually be in Atlanta, Georgia, at
Okay.
Cecili's Raw Reality, the raw vegan restaurant. It's
Okay.
not fully raw, but she has a restaurant down there, and essentially the restaurant also doubles as a Kemetic yoga temple.
Hmm.
So upstairs they have your yoga, and they just have many different teachers, basus, which is like the word for teacher or sensei or you know father, mother, basu.
Okay.
And so those teachers would come through and they would host different workshops, and they would, it's all inscribed there in the Medu Neter, which is the ancient language of the Kemetic civilization, the ancient Egyptians. Egypt
Wow.
being a Greek word. But yeah, the ancient Kemetic inscriptions on the pyramid walls, all those different inscriptions are pretty much telling the creation story, which includes Asar, Aset, and Heru, the original Trinity, Mother,
Okay.
Father, and Son. So yeah, this got for me. I got exposed in Atlanta at the Kemetic Science Temple
Mhm.
um, with Cecilia Ma'at and the different teachers that come out of that particular tradition. But I mean, there's people, Yasir Hotep, who teaches Kemetic yoga.
Mhm.
He's based out of Chicago, but he travels all over the world, hosts trainings in Brazil.
Mhm.
You have Kemetic Yogi, who hosts spiritual and nude retreats in the tropics and in Ghana, cultural experiences in Ghana.
Okay.
So there's a lot of ways for people to tap into this, but probably the source of this information, the most like what you call like reputable source, will probably be the Medu Neter, which is actually a book,
Okay.
um, which is written by African brothers, melanated beings who have learned how to transcribe the ancient Egyptian language.
And like you said before, Jordan, you're saying these are things that like predate the Bible, you said. Like it's
Absolutely.
like way before, what we know in, I guess in Christian scriptures in the Bible and things that we learn about, in regular, like in church, people raised in the church. I was raised in the church. But you're saying
Mm.
this stuff is like ancient. This is even before all of that.
Our modern religions are carbon copies of ancient Kemetic teachings.
Gotcha. Wow. This is
The
powerful.
original, the original, the oldest known creation story on the planet comes from Kemet,
Okay.
which
Okay.
predates, which is also where the Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity is also derived from, because even Christianity is not a European um, invention. It actually began with Ethiopians, who are essentially dark-skinned Africans in Kemet, which was also ancient Ethiopia, was also that region of the earth.
Wow.
And so, yes, Christianity is an African creation.
I never knew that. I never knew that. This is amazing. So, when you're talking about all of this knowledge, like these teachings, and just, when you hear people preaching, but we don't know these teachings, and it's not really reaching, do you feel like the knowledge ever left, or was it the people that left the knowledge?
Mm. You said it there. The knowledge has never left, but
Okay.
the people have been removed. We have been uprooted, and we have been separated from our knowledge of self.
Okay.
And that's what
Okay.
enlightenment means. It literally means to know thyself.
Know thyself.
And the original sin is lack of knowledge of self. When you
Mm.
don't know yourself, you will stumble around like a stumbling, mumbling fool, like an idiot, and you will cause harm to yourself and to all others that you meet because you know not who you are. You know not that you are your brother's keeper, that you are a part and parcel of your brother. So when you don't know that I am you, you are me, we are both um, sort of slices of the great divine one,
Mhm.
then I'm going to harm you because I'm actually harming myself. And I don't recognize that harming you is harming me and harming me is harming you. So it
Mm.
all comes back to self love, self awareness.
Wow, Jordan, it really sounds like, brother, what you're talking about. The feeling that I get is like a unified frequency, like a unity consciousness. Like there's
Yes,
no separation, no separation, no
there's the
no
separation.
divide.
That's what yoga from Sanskrit means. Union it means
Okay.
yoke. It means to yoke, to to bring together, to remember
Yeah.
that which had been dismembered.
Mm.
And that concept comes from ancient Kemet, which where the divine father was dismembered and his pieces, his body parts were severed and spread all across the earth. And his wife, um, Aset, she was so saddened by this, that she brought all of his body parts back together. And through her love and her devotion to her spiritual union, that energy, essentially, what's the word, reincarnated and remembered
Mm.
her husband. Yeah,
Remembered, remembered. That's a
yeah,
that's a I love that new spin on that word. We think of remember like, oh, I remember. Like, I remember. But when you're talking about remember, it's like bringing the members back together that have been dismembered. We're remembering. That puts a new ring on things.
that's where the word comes from. To
Okay.
remember means to put back together that which was dismembered.
Ah. This is so good, man. When you came in contact, with these Kemetic teachings, Kemetic yoga, Kemetic, these basus, these mentors, these
Yeah.
people that were teaching you, what when you tapped in, what did it do for you? Like, how did it change your life? How did it rearrange your life? And how did it just elevate you to another level wherever you were at that time in your life?
For me, it was never about um, needing someone other than myself.
Mm,
As my queen stated in the comments, this knowledge is encoded in our DNA.
mm,
So it's literally an ancestral remembrance of who you are. You cannot teach a person something. We don't teach anything. I can only help you remember what you already know.
mm,
Like when I speak truth, you can't be like, "Oh, thank you for giving me the information, and now I trust and believe that what you've said is correct." No, I can only say something that resonates with you because your DNA knows it to be true
mm,
already, right? And when something doesn't sit right, we get that gut feeling like, oh no, I don't trust this. I don't. That don't sound right. Two and two don't equal. It's not adding up. We understand when it doesn't naturally add up. But when it naturally resonates, the truth, when that resonates, there's an inner knowing, there's a vibration. Like when your instrument is in tune, when
right.
you hear a good song, it's like, yo, that's in tune,
Right.
intonation.
Right, right. It's like I remember I seen Erica Badu. You know Erica Badu. She was doing an interview, and she had earrings,
You're right.
and her earrings were like tuning forks. They were like tuning forks on her ears. And during the interview, brother, one of the earrings just like fell off during the interview, and she played it off so smooth. She was like, "Look, look, somebody's not in tune." She said.
Hello. She
She said
knows.
somebody's not in tune. And I was like,
She
oh
knows.
man, that was good. That was
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So it's like that resonance, when you put two tuning forks that resonate together, you feel
Mhm.
that vibration, you feel the sensation. So when you
Mhm.
refer to, your queen, you're talking about Christina.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, beautiful, man. I just seen a reel with her doing cartwheels. Is this the Queen Mother you were talking about who had a solar
Yeah.
return recently?
Yes, this is the Queen Mother, Christina. She recently hit her 29th year, so Saturn return, and she's beautiful Queen Mother. We have a daughter together, and we are, Divine Trinity that is remembering who we are.
Beautiful, the Holy Trinity, the Holy Trinity, brother. And your daughter, her name?
Her name is Zion.
Zion. Powerful,
Zion.
powerful name. Oh my gosh, Zion. So
She
I just
came with a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I just heard Lauryn Hill singing in my ears,
Mhm.
like now the joy,
Yeah,
is in Zion.
exactly.
So with you, Christina and Zion, you mentioned just now when I said solar return, I think you said Saturn. Did you say Saturn return?
I did.
Can you explain that? What is that about when you say Saturn return for those people who don't really understand that meaning?
Honestly, I'm not super educated um, in the realm of astrology and how the planets function and just being able to talk about that. That's actually a little bit more the expertise of Christina. And I think she would also, I think our audience would actually appreciate a separate conversation where you can get her as well to do a transmission with your audience. Um,
Okay.
so she's watching now, and you can reach out with her because she has her level of like intuitive, divine wisdom
Hmm.
that I think the world can definitely benefit from. But so Saturn return, it's from my understanding, I believe it is the period from about 28
Okay.
years of age into 30. And it's that cycle in a person's life where yeah, they're coming into their Saturn energy, which is one of our planets.
Okay. So
Mhm.
29, it's her time.
Exactly, right on time.
29, so divine. It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
So, brother, how did y'all, with your divine union, how did you two meet? Like, how did you find each other?
It was the sun, the fruit, and the stars.
The sun, the fruit, and the stars. I gotta hear this. I gotta
Yeah.
hear this.
So, uh, we, so we're both American born, North America. I'm Mississippi. She's a Kentucky Southern Belle. And, but we were both traveling. Well, I was living in Ecuador at the time in South America, reclaiming my ancestry with that part of the land in Ecuador. So, um, I came across her account on Facebook.
Mhm.
And so, we connected and we just started to bounce back and forth like transmissions, just sharing ideas and resonating, right? And so she was on her own like cleansing and detoxification journey.
Yeah.
And so I would say it's really the more so the shedding that she and I were both doing
Mhm.
to allow us to become light as a feather, where we
Yes.
could resonate on a certain frequency and match up our frequencies.
Hmm.
Because that's all it was just a natural magnetism, a natural attraction that was not forced. And yeah, so eventually, after studying with Dr. Aris Latham in Panama
Hmm.
and becoming Sunfire certified,
Hmm.
this was about 4 or 5 years ago for myself. Um, I found out I realized she was living in Costa Rica at the time. So once again, we were, becoming lighter, living closer to the sun, closer to the equator,
Hmm.
and eating high fruits. That's why I said the sun, the fruit, and the stars.
And the stars.
So the stars had to align because it was a divine alignment. And yeah, I just, decided to hit her up, decided to meet up with her.
Hmm.
And it was like meeting a long lost friend,
Wow.
literally. It was a
Oh.
long lost friend, and the connection was just so authentic
Hmm.
and like, I don't know what the word is, it's just effortless, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we made that divine connection. We spent some time in the jungles, in the rainforest of Costa Rica, meditating off grid. I was
Mm.
there with my brother Radius, one of my classmates from the Sunfire certification. She
Hmm.
was living there with some of her friends, her divine tribe. And yeah, we were just, I mean, literally, we were just like eating fruits, eating coconuts.
Hmm.
And that was our divine connection.
Oh
Um,
man.
but I went back to Ecuador. She continued living in Costa Rica. She traveled home to visit her family.
Hmm.
And a couple years went by and we reconnected after doing our own soul searching, our continued growth, after watering ourselves.
Right.
Um, and yeah, we reconnected in Ecuador almost 2 years ago now.
Hmm.
And yeah, we just continued to water ourselves and water our seeds. And yes, we created a beautiful divine seed.
Damn.
Um, because our gardens were fertile and we continue to just cultivate our fertile waters. And
Yeah.
so that's
I love
how,
how you
that's the
speak,
story
brother.
of
I
time.
love how
How
you
we came together.
thank you
Fasting.
for
I
this.
mean, we did so much fasting and praying together,
Hmm.
literally just tuning our forks. That's all it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
literally.
Jordan, I gotta say this, man. I mean, the way you speak, I love the way you give these descriptions. It's very eloquent, it's very intentional, but it's so expressive. Like you're talking about cultivating your divine water, like the garden was fertile for cultivation, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like just the way that you speak, it gives a depiction. It's almost like you're painting pictures with your words, like you're giving us an accurate depiction, but there's just so much like flourishing and nourishing in your language. It
Mm,
sounds like very intentional, like it's off the cuff, you're just off the dome, but it,
yeah.
it, it brings us home, it's
Yeah.
it's being made known. So I just want to, first of all, I just want to give gratitude to you just
Wow.
for communicating, giving that energy transmission and expressing yourself the way you know best. Like I appreciate that because I mean, in your authenticity, when you're talking about both of you, not only you came into alignment, but you knew the assignment, you know? You know what I'm saying? So when you
We knew
said
the
you were
assignment.
both in that period of detoxification, what do you feel like, within the relations with your purification, with detox, what did you have to detox at that time that it was necessary for you at that time that you're glad that you came together to do that together? Like what were some of those
Mm.
things that you battled with or struggled with that you needed to purge from your system?
Oh, it's a constant journey. Just like a river, it's going to constantly have contaminants that come into it, but that river is going to keep flowing. So I would say for both of us, it's been like over a decade in the making. I mean, our entire life's purpose, like literally, we chose to manifest into these bodies, into these vehicles, to take ourselves where we wanted to go. So, I went vegan about 9.5 years ago,
Okay.
cutting out animal products,
Right.
but that's just a manifestation of, the reflection of my people and my family, my heritage, where I come from, and me recognizing that we were not using food as medicine.
Hmm.
So I tapped into that, which sent me on a journey of reconnecting with movement and breath and mindfulness through
Hmm.
yoga, meditation, um, ultimately through nature, through barefoot, barehanded contact with the plants, right?
Right.
So that was my journey. But unbeknownst to me, Christina was having this same similar parallel journey in
Hmm.
her life. Even before a decade ago, she had already gotten into like pescatarian. Like she had literally just removed like land animals from her diet, like in her teens. And
Wow.
so it's like this is what I'm saying. It's a divine purification of the physical body so that you
Hmm.
can be open to the high vibrational alignment that is there for you.
Right.
And so, once again, releasing attachment to animal products as food,
Hmm.
releasing the attachment to toxic thinking, toxic thoughts, toxic beliefs,
Hmm.
even toxic people, toxic environments. That's what I'm saying. It's like we would not have met if we were both in the United States where we were born. Now we're
Mm.
both here now. Again, we return home to our homeland to water these roots. But I had been living in Costa Rica, Guatemala, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and come all the way back to South America,
Wow.
gone to Ghana, and come back to South America. She had
Yeah.
lived in Costa Rica. She had traveled to Jamaica, and she's been all over, different parts of the West. And mostly it was about release. We think it's sometimes about going towards something, but a lot of times it's just about letting go. It's about shedding what's not serving.
Right.
And so, um, yeah, we had to like really unlearn a lot of miseducation, and what's the word, malnutrition,
Yeah.
like bad nutrients. We just had to purge these things. And once again, instead of focusing on lack or focusing on what we don't want, we were just aligning ourselves towards what we did want: more
Hmm.
sunshine, more fruit, more seeds, more hydration, more coconuts. And through seeking our connection with the waters, the living waters, and the living roots and seeds and stems and shoots of the plants, through planting ourselves in a plant-based environment and living in plant-based bodies,
Hmm.
um, we created a better existence on the planet.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
you
It
know,
what is when you work with the planet, it's easy to manage. It's easy to
hello.
manage when you work with the planet. Mother Earth, nature always provides for sure,
Yeah.
and it's all inside for sure. So thank you so much for that breakdown and speaking that word, because I just remember watching Star Wars, and I remember Luke Skywalker being trained by Jedi Master Yoda. And
Mm-hmm.
Yoda, he had a saying when he was training Luke, and he was like, "You must unlearn what you have learned." Right? Like he's like, "You must unlearn what you have learned. Like everything that you've learned, let it all go." And I think that's actually
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that they told Doctor Strange before he entered Kamartaj. He was like, word of advice: forget everything you think you know. Like this is not the
Yeah.
place for you to bring your ego. This is not the ecosystem. This is an ecosystem. You need to forget everything you think you know.
Yeah.
So
The
when you're
ego.
talking about, go ahead.
I said not an ego thing, which is a separation, but an eco thing, which is
An
a.
eco.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You got it. So, brother Jordan, when you're talking about coming from Mississippi, I come from South Carolina, so I definitely, I was raised in the South, and you're talking about Christina being raised in Kentucky. So, I mean, KFC is right there, Kentucky Fried Chicken. We were all about Popeyes. We were all about, Arby's, McDonald's, like, You know, everything that was around churches, chicken, rushes, like all of these things were just right down the street. The liquor store is right there, the convenience store is right there, like everything is just right there, just for you to indulge, just for you to have that bulge, you know, just for you to just have all of this stuff that you're stuffing yourself with all the time. And pretty much my whole family, you know, none of my family that I know of are vegan, you know, like I turned vegan maybe back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That was my shift was when I saw a documentary about the animals. It was called Earthlings. And when I saw
Mm.
that documentary, I could never go back. Like once I saw what I saw, there was no going back for me. So for me, it wasn't even longevity, it wasn't even health wise. It was really the animals. You know, for me, I
Yeah.
was like, what have I done? Like what have I
Right.
been contributing to my whole entire life? It just felt so out of alignment, out of sync with my heart. You know, my heart did not feel lighthearted. It felt heavy. You know, it did not feel light as a feather in that moment when I was watching just the video footage from the slaughterhouses and the scenes of all things that, you know, just go on every day, like billions, you know, every year just getting slaughtered for our consumption that is totally unnecessary when here you are for 9, 10 years living on a plant-based, you know, nutritional lifestyle, eating no animal products at all. So
Right.
what would you say was your shift when it came to going plant-based, when it came to being nutrivore, when it came to being a nutritarian? I love this word that you put it. What was
Yeah.
that shift for you?
Yeah. It was quite similar to yours. Like before I made the shift, once again, my spirit and my mind were already being primed. It's
Okay.
like my higher guides, my higher self, the infinite version of myself, already knew what I came here to do.
Uh-huh.
So, it's like that whole Goldilocks. What story is that? A Little Red Riding Hood. We leave
Yeah.
breadcrumbs for ourselves to actually know where we're trying to go.
Mm,
So, I come across sort of Vedic teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, from the
mm,
Hare Krishna people. I read these books and understood reincarnation. Um, I was already being educated at Morehouse College, understanding systemic oppression,
mm,
the history of African Americans, and just understanding like justice, essentially. Once
mm,
again, back to Ma'at, justice. What is it called? The arc of the universe bends towards justice.
mm.
So that's a quote from John Hope Bryant that I've been reading recently. So everything is balancing itself towards justice, and I essentially came across a moment of really economic instability, housing instability while I was in
Yeah.
college, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. You're just trying to get to class, you're trying to afford your classes and your housing, and maybe you renting a room with friends. So, due to my roommate's sort of lack of responsibility with the light bill, I had to leave the house that I was in because the lights came off and it got cold. And luckily, I was a musician. So I was actually playing my trumpet for a
Mm,
rock band called Coma Girls at the
mm.
time. And the guitarist, he like literally came over to my house one time. And we were having like a music rehearsal by candlelight in the dark house.
Oh, wow.
So he
Wow.
understood my situation because he literally was there like in the dark room with the candle
Right.
and his guitar like playing music. And then so when I told him like, yeah, the lights are not back on, the house just got broken into, so now it's ransacked and it's not even safe essentially. He was like, "Oh, I have an extra room. Or what did he say? He's like, I'm moving, so I'm leaving my space a month early. So there's a whole month left on my rent, on my lease. You can like stay in my place."
Wow.
So once again, the divine alignment just came there. The abundance was just there from, I guess, from me having like an open heart and people recognizing that it's they should support me. So I was staying with this guy in Little Five Points, Atlanta, and I
Okay.
came across a book in a little free library. Those little
Yeah.
books, libraries outside, like a little mailbox of books. People take a book, offer a book. Great
Mm,
concept. I love it. Anyone who has a home in their neighborhood, I believe you can like go to littlefreelibrary.org and they'll send you the materials. They'll come by and set up one of those little free libraries in your neighborhood because I
nice.
think books are super important. For me, books changed my life, education. Because it's like you can essentially have access to the wisdom that people before you have left behind. Even when their bodies have deteriorated, the book still lives on.
Exactly.
So that was the cool thing. So this book I came across was called Vegan: The New Ethics of Eating.
Okay.
And so this book, one of the co-authors was Dr. Michael Greger. This is
Mm.
2016. I found a book that he had co-authored, and it talked about, and this book had highlighted notes in it. It had somebody's name was written in the cover, and it was like vegetarian 1999, vegan 2000. So this book was like someone's like time capsule
Yeah.
of their vegan journey, like them being vegetarian, them going vegan, and then them highlighting the valuable information in the book that made an impact on them.
Wow.
So,
That was like a
so
roadmap. They give you a whole roadmap.
well, I told you, I left myself breadcrumbs to even get there. Then when I
Yeah.
found that piece of the puzzle, that treasure piece, it was literally a treasure map, a road
Yeah.
map
Yeah.
towards a lighter soul, a lighter heart, a lighter,
Wow.
cleaner body.
Wow.
So after reading the book and just reading the straight up the highlights, like just the clip notes, right?
Mm.
It talked about heart disease and some of the health implications. It talked about the environmental implications of animal agriculture and how it's just super resource exhaustive to
Mm.
farm and raise animals on an industrial scale,
Yeah.
to then slaughter and eat those animals when you could have just ate the plants that fattened up the animal in the first place. So
Exactly. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how like we it's like we feed the animals more. We spend more to feed the animals that we eat than we grow to feed ourselves. Like we grow more food to feed the animals we eat on the back end
yeah,
than we even grow to feed ourselves in the first place. You
it's like,
know?
are humans really overpopulated, or really are there too many? Are we overbreeding the animals? Okay, look, there's 8 billion humans on the planet, right? But one of the statistics I learned way back in 2016, I'm sure the number is nearly doubled by now, is that we killed over 65 billion land animals every year for food. So who eats more, you or a cow? You or a pig? You or a goat?
Mm.
You or, like I said, most people eat cows, pigs, and chickens.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like if we're able to kill 65 billion animals a year, I don't think humans are the ones that are overpopulated. I think humans plus the animals in captivity that we
Mm.
bred into existence to even have this overabundance of flesh and blood.
Right.
Maybe that's a bit of an over taxing on our resources for sure.
For
But
sure.
essentially humans could live on easily a vegan, a plant-based human can easily live on 1/16 the amount of land that a cow needs. And that's
Yeah.
if a cow is eating grass. We know the cows are eating um, corn. A lot of it's like 50 or 60% of the commercial agricultural land is being
Hmm.
used to grow monocrops of corn, wheat, and soy, which 70% of that is animal feed. It's not all for humans.
Yeah.
So the whole, once you really, so like I said, that's some stuff that I got into once I read the book. It talked about health, talked about
Mm.
environmentalism, and it talked about ethics in terms
Mm.
of like the conditions that those animals live in, just understanding like what is a humane way to enslave animals so for food.
Yeah.
So I went to YouTube because the book kind of like was a mind blower. It's like, hold up, I was in my senior year. I'm about to have a bachelor's degree in business
Mm.
administration. I'm a liberal arts school, so I'm obviously studying the history of slavery and injustice. How come I've never heard about even just the racial injustice of, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, you know, Environmental racism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where where black and brown people suffer disproportionately from food deserts,
Hmm.
suffer disproportionately from poor work conditions. Who you think take the most jobs in slaughterhouses and
Hmm.
in unsustainable agricultural jobs? It's immigrants and poor working class black people. So understanding all this, I was like, wait a minute, how is this a whole gap in my awareness? This one book is just blowing the cap off of so many things that I've learned, or it's
Hmm.
adding context rather. to what I've learned about business, and it's
Mhm.
adding context to those statistics that they talk about in terms of oh, black people are more prone to get heart disease and cancer and diabetes. It's like, well, why are we more prone to this? Is it an
Right.
economic oppression talk conversation? Is it an environmental racism conversation? Is it all intersectional, which is something I learned about later on?
Mhm.
Um, so because this was so new information to me, I had to go to the authorities, to the dummies, Google and YouTube.
Mhm.
And I did some YouTube research, went to the YouTube University, and I came across a whole iceberg, a whole iceberg of like knowledge and understanding that people have been eating plant-based diets for it's like the original diet,
Yeah. Yeah.
people have done research, people have um, done the people have lived the example that like you can get all your nutrition from plants.
Mm.
So when I started to learn this, like I said, it was a combination of like learning, being educated,
Mm.
understanding that your nutrition that all nutrients come from plants. That
Mm.
this starts off as a plant form, and then adding in the visual aspect, as you said, watching some slaughterhouse footage, seeing like, okay, this is actually like I'm like, well, if I'm gonna eat this, I should at least tolerate seeing where it comes from. I've never
Ex-
seen where hamburgers come from, where chicken nuggets come
Exactly.
from. If I want to
Exactly.
eat this,
Yeah.
I should at least be open to seeing where it comes from because I'm not even doing the killing, so I might as
Thank
well
you.
see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually I did, after like 3 days, 3 to 5 days of research, I was actually working a concert,
Mhm.
STS9 concert. It was a New Year's Eve thing,
Mhm.
overnight, during the concert, the ball dropped, the streamers come out, oh, Happy New Year. I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to do just another New Year's resolution because those never stick.
No.
But it is a new opportunity to just recreate myself and to just be a better version, just here on out, right? I was like,
Right.
what do I want to do? I want to say that I haven't eaten animals since last year.
Mm.
And I just, then and there at midnight, I just made that intention. So I always like to say my decision going vegan didn't start with food in front of me. It started
Mm.
with a mindset shift.
Mm.
And I didn't go vegan. I realized that I already was a person that believed in nonviolence
Mhm.
and non-harming and
Mhm.
sustainability. I just decided to align my actions with my beliefs
Right. Right.
and actually practice what does a true compassionate lifestyle look like.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah,
Compassionate lifestyle.
and it, for me, last point, and I'll let you piggyback.
You good?
Um, it just for me, it all led with one statement was my guiding light at that time, which was the next time I eat, there won't be any animals on the plate.
Mm.
Just one meal at a time. Like I
Mhm.
didn't know, like, oh, this is gonna be my whole life. Like I'm never gonna do it again. I wasn't all extremist. Like it's just like I can let me just eat some. Let me just eat without eating animals because that's
Right.
all I realized was that food, like animals, are not the only thing that we eat.
For sure.
Eat what animals eat.
Right.
Most
For
animals
sure.
eat
Like,
plants.
I mean, when you put it that way, it just makes sense. Like when I watched this documentary called Game Changers, and there was this guy, and he's just one of the strongest, heavy built guys on the planet, and he's able to lift like four people at a time and carry them, and lift these structures and just lift huge amounts of weight. And he's a bodybuilder, and he works on himself, but he's completely, vegan. And they were asking him, you know, how did you get to be as strong as an ox? And he said, have you ever seen what oxen eat? You
Hmm.
know, like they're not eating other oxes, right?
The
They're,
meat you eat, don't eat meat.
right, right. Exactly. So it's like, what I mean, you're eating something that's not eating something that you're eating, you know. So it's like, what are we doing,
Make it make sense.
So we just continue depleting, we continue feeding, we continue needing, we continue eating the things that are not even eating the things that we're eating. So it just doesn't even make sense. It's really kind of nonsensical in the way that you put it. I love that you said this, Jordan. Thank you for that message on, at the very least, if I'm going to consume this, I should be able to watch you know, how these beings are being treated. You know, you coming from Morehouse College. I mean, you're coming from places where you're seeing like the subjugation and, you know, the deterioration of a race. Like you're seeing enslavement, you're seeing all of this history of our history, and then to come off of that, and you're seeing the subjugation of an entire species. You know, like we're oppressing a whole species and saying like we have dominion. That's another documentary. Dominion. Like we
Yeah,
have dominion over these beings just
yeah.
because, you know, just
It felt
because.
hypocritical. I felt hypocritical.
Yeah.
Um, you know, nobody was like, "Oh, Jordan, you're a bad person." I was just like, "Who am I to really ask Caucasians or white supremacists? Who am I to ask them to consider my suffering if I
Mm.
won't consider the suffering of others just because they're not human?" It's like the
Right.
justification, the logic that we would use to keep enslaving animals and breeding them and eating them and slaughtering them. That logic is the exact same logic that humans use to oppress one another.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel like we really have to kind of you kind of have to choose a side. It's like, if you're going to justify oppression, justify all of it.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you're going to justify liberation, then justify all of it.
Right.
Seek
Right.
to, put your money where your mouth is, literally.
Right. Freedom for all beings, you know, all beings. Just like my goodness, you know, it's just when you hear a lot of people like my family members in particular, like I said, they all consume animal flesh. But if you ask them to sit down and watch a documentary about what goes on in these slaughterhouses and these buildings and these, you know, animal agriculture, animal farming, they're not going to do it. They don't want to watch it, you know, because something in their spirit, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. They just kind of want to cook it. They want to
I've,
season it. They want to put it.
I've literally heard people say, "Oh no, that'll ruin my appetite." Huh? Seeing your food, I'm sorry, not food. Seeing animals get
Right,
turned into food
right.
is going to ruin your appetite.
Exactly.
Does,
Exactly.
does seeing apples grow ruin your appetite for apples?
No. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. I see.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Like after I walked into grocery stores like before, when I walked into a grocery store before I saw these things, you know, I would see ground beef, I would see ground turkey, I would see rotisseries, I would see hot wings, I would see all these things, right?
Yeah,
After I saw this stuff and I walked into the store, I just saw dead bodies.
yep.
It was just dead bodies. It was like my mind, all I could see were dead bodies. And I remember I looked, Jordan, I looked and I seen one of those vultures that are like picking at the flesh on the side of the road. And I
Necropore.
just was like, what's the difference? You know, I couldn't see a difference between me and that vulture just picking at that animal on the side of the road. I was like, what is the difference between me and this? So, you know, I really just didn't understand. It was a big shock to me, to my spirit, to my ego. And when
Hmm.
you're talking about meeting people like Dr. Aris Latham, you know, Dr. Aris Latham, I mean, he's in his what? He's in his like 70s,
Yeah, he'll be 78 this year, I believe.
78, so late 70s, and he's spry, he's youthful, he's got vitality. You know, I
Climbing his
saw
coconut
that
trees.
reel.
He's
Go ahead.
working, he's climbing his coconut trees. He's working 16, 18-hour days. Like,
Right.
I've been in his presence like twice. Like, I'm certified twice, Sunfire.
Oh man.
Spend
So,
time with this guy in the tropics, climbing coconut trees,
whoa.
teaching people like all kinds of stuff, you know?
So what were some of the things that you learned from him just being in his presence those times? Like what were some of the transmissions that he transferred to you during your time with him?
Oh, just there's so much. I mean, he's just he's a living history book, you know? So
Mm,
he's just got a myriad of like stories and experiences that really show you that like this is not a new thing, essentially. I mean,
mm,
he's got his library of over 15,000 books of what we call nonfiction books.
mm,
So I mean, authors like, I mean, books from like the 1940s, you know, authors from like people who were born in the 1800s writing about raw food um, diets, like
Mhm.
living food, like fruits, you know, sprouts, you know, healing disease, things like that. Um, but even some of my favorite conversations would be some of the, like for him, firsthand historical stories of just capitalism and marketing and just the evolution of the food system and the food complex, the megaplex of the corporate, just the takeover of food by corporations. Like because he is in his 70s and he began his life in Panama
Mhm.
on a in the canal zone. So he's seeing like he grew up in the jungle, but then also lived in sort of a U.S. military kind of environment.
Mhm.
But then also moving to North America, New York City, when he was like 17, 18. So he's seen a lot, and then you know being part of these like revolutionary movements, the anti-war movements.
Mhm.
I just love how you know we talk about liberating the animals. We talk about veganism,
Mhm.
but he's the first person I ever heard of speaking of food being a weapon and
Mhm.
him like defending his own life. Like the human, the most endangered animal is the human.
Wow.
And you can't, I always say, for me, I always say like vegan for the animals because yes, they deserve their own segmented movement that is focused on animal liberation, vegan for the animals, but raw, sun-fired, living food is for human health, for my health,
For human.
right? Because I can't defend the animals if I'm sick.
Yeah. 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 You're right.
I
You're
can't
right.
protect the environment if I'm sick.
Right.
That's
Right.
it. I can't teach anyone. Um, I can't even promote a vegan lifestyle if I'm not healthy.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want you to listen to me. Don't do as I say, do as I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like actually learn from this example, this beaming light stream. You
Mhm.
know, let my light illuminate your shadows
Mhm.
so that it's just not ignorable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, brother. You know, when you're talking about this, it's like for many people, it sounds cliche when somebody says, you know, health is wealth. You know, we hear it all the time, like health is wealth. To a lot of people, they've heard it so many times, they're like, okay, I get it, you know, take care of your health, whatever. I gotta go make this money. You know, let's get this money. It's money time. Time is money. Let's make it happen. Like, let's go. You know, but
At what
somebody's like,
cost?
no, no, health is, huh?
I always say, at what cost?
Exactly.
You're gonna get the bag at what cost? Your health?
You
Like,
know,
what's more valuable, money or life?
exactly. Like
And
I
eventually,
remember
and
even,
eventually, you want to choose both. Eventually, you want to be healthy and wealthy. But if you had to choose one, you gotta. Wealth is a foundation. Is wealth is a manifestation. Is a physical manifestation of your health,
yeah,
which is your true, infinite, abundant nature of
mhm,
vitality.
yeah, yeah. And if
See,
I mean, you know, people, you'll see people, we see them all the time that, you know, I used to be one of those people ordering from the dollar menu at McDonald's. You know,
hmm,
that was my value. You know, I'm getting the value meal, I'm getting the McDonald's meal, I'm getting the double cheeseburger, I'm getting the McChicken, I'm getting the double whatever, you know, I'm getting the extra fries and stuff. But I'm going to the dollar menu because that was my view, like on you know, that was my view. But they say
that was your self conception. That was how you
right.
perceived your own value.
Exactly, exactly. And then when you hear somebody say, "But do you know, like people will give the argument, well, vegan food is expensive. I don't have money for that." But then somebody says, well, what's the price of a heart attack? You know, like, do you know the cost of a heart attack? Do you know that price? Like,
Hmm.
you know, which price would
What's the
you rather
cost of a
pay?
headache? What's the cost of back pain? What's the cost of
Exactly.
infertility, kidney damage, liver failure, colon cancer? What is the
The list goes on and on. So
and
was
and
the
honestly,
first time?
I wouldn't even say being vegan is expensive because like any like being healthy is expensive. Even if you
Mm,
want to eat animals, eating healthy animals is expensive. Like,
mm,
to position yourself to buy, like, avoiding when food is a weapon, being healthy is gonna cost you something on the short. It's gonna it requires an investment. You
yeah,
know, I like how Dr. Aris would say, you I live in an expensive body.
yeah.
You want to have expensive shoes, expensive shirt, expensive haircut, expensive house, but like all that stuff, you can't. If your body is cheap,
Yeah.
come on, you can't even enjoy it.
It's got nothing on the temple. Yeah. And just the enjoyment, like you're saying, I mean, one of my good friends, she will always say she notices a lot of times. She's very observant. She observes everything. And she's constantly seeing people like a slow person getting out of a fast car. you know so like somebody is retired, they're in, maybe their 60s or whatever, they're retired, they drive up in a Maserati or a Bugatti or a Ferrari or a
Yeah.
Lamborghini, and they get out and they're just like limping, you
Oh my
know
God.
like so the car is like luxury vehicle or super sports vehicle is like super high performance, but in a low performance vessel, so it's like, where is the value is being placed on things that, we get no return. We get no return on that investment. That investment is
Mhm.
not, it's not accruing. It's not giving us compound interest on that investment.
Not good.
So
It's not good debt.
not good debt. So when you're talking about, like a health scare, has there been a time in your life where you can recall, Jordan, where it came down to that, where you said, you know what, if I don't have health, I don't have anything. Like everything came down. Yeah, what was one of those moments in your life?
Oh, so mostly it would be environmental, like literally, like I grew up in like a food desert, and like
Mm,
um, there just there just were no healthy food options after a certain point, after they got rid of the main market downtown, and so just seeing like essentially like losing my grandfather when I was in middle school,
mm,
watching my great grandmother, who she lived to 103, but for most of my life I'd watched her deteriorate, in terms of her posture, her uh, I think the first thing that went was her hearing.
okay.
And then eventually, when she was in the hospice or the nursing home, eventually her mind started to go. And it's like watching this deterioration, which is not pretty. But from a personal experience, I actually had an appendectomy. I had
What
appendicitis.
what is that?
Your appendix is an organ
Oh,
that you
yeah,
have.
but like what appendicitis? What is that?
That's inflammation of the appendix.
Okay, so yeah, could you describe that for us, for someone who doesn't know about that? Like, what was that like?
Right. So first, um, I watched my mother actually have a similar experience. She had an appendectomy or appendicitis or inflammation of the appendix. Maybe when I was in middle school, maybe, or maybe high school. So maybe like a decade before me. And I have theories about that too, just in terms of like me having a similar health scare about a decade after she did, even though I'm 2 decades younger than her. I think there's, sort of environmental toxin aspect, along with the genetic weaknesses that obviously she and I share genetics. But
Okay.
and they don't know what the function of the appendix is, but now based off of my holistic naturopathic experience, I understand that it's a part of the lymphatic system, it's part of the waste management system of the body,
Mm,
right? So what my experience was, I was actually fresh fresh into a vegan diet, maybe just a year into being plant based.
mm,
But that first year, I was still eating, processed, eating my Oreos and my almond milk almost every night, and
mm,
eating my fried tofu and things like that. Um, and I was at work, and I ended up getting like a tummy ache. Like I was vegan, but I still, you know, was like overcoming like addictions and cravings and things like that, right?
Hmm.
So all I remember is, if I can remember correctly, because it was kind of a blur, but I believe I ate a cupcake from the office,
Okay.
right? And then I kind of got like a tummy ache,
Hmm.
and that this tummy ache lasted from like 4 or 5 p.m. until 9, 10 p.m., 11 p.m.
Mm.
It's like I was in a lot of pain in my
Okay.
abdomen. So much so, I was at home and I called my homeboy because I wasn't living at my mom's home. I was living in Atlanta, sort
Yeah.
of being my own independent life. I called my best friend. I was like, bro, like my stomach hurt. Like my stomach still hurts. And I can't sleep. Like I wasn't used to being in so much pain that I couldn't just go to sleep.
Right.
So he's like, maybe you should go to the hospital. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll go to the hospital. I go to the hospital. I'm waiting maybe 45 minutes to an hour for them to actually see me in the emergency room.
Right.
Finally, call me in there. And then I think they did like a CAT scan, maybe. And then, but after this CAT scan, my pain got worse. So once again, in hindsight, I recognized the radiation probably
Okay.
added to the inflammation I was already experiencing.
Hmm.
Um, And if I had more holistic knowledge in that time, I probably would have had my herbs on deck and different things for me to. I would probably would have remedied the pain earlier in the day,
Hmm.
and also, you know, I would have just been able to be more preventative with it.
Hmm.
But anyways, so after the CAT scan, they were like,
Hmm.
"Oh, your appendix is inflamed." Like I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, thank you." But it hurts a lot now. And they're like, "Oh, it's actually ruptured." So it's like, okay, it's ruptured. So we're gonna remove it.
What? Like right then and there, they said that. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So literally within like 5 minutes, I'm meeting with an anesthesiologist. They're giving me the anesthesia. I go under the knife. I wake up. It feels like 5 minutes have passed. They had like a minimally invasive kind of surgery, so just like a tiny little scar. I guess they probably went in with a camera. I don't know how the modern day appendectomy works. Went in, maybe cut around something and vacuumed it out and stitched me back up. Uh,
So your appendix is gone.
hmm
Whoa. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so how did that, I mean, how did that,
So
how did
yeah,
you, yeah, how did you function after?
I needed pain medication. I had to my abdominal muscles were weak. I had to go through like the restructuring, the repositioning of my internal organs. A lot of people, this is the first time I think I'm telling this story on social media. So if you've made it this far into the conversation, you understand like it's not a joke for me.
Yeah.
It's why I'm if anyone who knows me will understand, it's why I'm a little bit not obsessive and I'm not anal, but I'm very careful
Hmm.
about what goes into my body. Like I'm
Exactly.
really not a fan of chemicals and I'm
Mm-mm.
not a fan of like straight up junk food, you know, even if it's vegan or plant based, because I also had to deal with the recovery process, being in a hospital, um, not having my autonomy and just feeling like this is not freedom. Like, not that I'd rather be dead. I didn't get depressed like that, but it's just like I never want to be in this position
Yeah, exactly.
where I have to be subject to this type of medical care, because I had great doctors. Like, it was good, you know, but it was just like, no, I want to be healthy. I want to feel great. And just kind of sent me down the spiral of my naturopathic education where it's like, I want to understand the body. I want to understand the organs, how
Yeah.
to support them, how to nourish them, what does the body, what do our cells need, in order to thrive, right?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Mm.
but I also experienced the healing power of
Hmm.
breath work, breathing,
Hmm.
because during the recovery, I still was not able to my only comfortable position was like the fetal position,
Wow.
like at home, like after I left the hospital, everything. They gave me like morphine,
Mm.
and hydrocodone, these drugs, right?
So
For
you were in,
pain.
so you were in intense pain. This is unbelievable pain.
Yeah, even after the surgery, yeah.
Jesus, man. You're talking
Um,
about, like, thank you. First of all, just thank you for your openness, like your vulnerability in sharing this story. I've never heard a story like this. When you're talking about you ate a cupcake, you know, at your job,
Probably loaded with sugar and maybe eggs and just chemicals.
and from a cupcake, your stomach is hurting all day. You finally go to the emergency room. Of course, they make you wait an hour to get into it. Then they do a CAT scan, radiation. You're hurting even more from the radiation. And then they say, "Oh, you have inflammation." And then they
We
say,
need a
"Actually,
it rupture. We need to rush you into surgery.
yeah, actually, we
Because
need to get you in there now."
to their understanding, you could die from the rupturing of your appendix and I guess the bleeding of the contamination of your blood, I guess, could kill you.
So
Because I guess they know that an appendix is an organ that's full of toxins.
is that what they call like sepsis when somebody's in like when something ruptures and they're basically septic, like they're toxic, completely toxic or something
They didn't
when
use that
somebody
word because I didn't get to that point, but that's probably what it would have been. If I had died, that's probably what the cause of death would have been, sepsis or something, right?
and they just
Auto
put you
intoxication.
and they just put you under anesthesia and you said in 5 minutes you wake up and your appendix is gone. Like can't get it back, it's gone. Like um like like a discarded, part on a vehicle. Like they just took it and just discarded it, you know?
Yeah, man. It's
So, I
yeah.
mean, Jesus, man, like I understand, like you said, your seriousness, like how really, just how you stand on principles and just have so much purposefulness in this path because of what you've been through, what you've had to go through, what you've had to grow through, you
You want to
know?
know something? I haven't been to the hospital since.
Hey,
That was
amen.
that was like 8.5 years ago.
Amen on
I
that.
don't think there are any accidents.
Mm,
No.
mm.
And I've healed my vision too. I used to wear glasses.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know.
So you now have gratitude. Like that's the attitude. I need that attitude. You have gratitude even for that because you're saying like, hey, that was the last day that I went to the hospital. I made a vow. You made like a covenant. Like this is not going to happen again. This will not be my life.
Not from my own doing. Emergencies are emergencies, but I will
Okay.
not be the cause of me going back under this experimental medical care.
Got you. Got you. What are your perceptions on, when you talk about experimental medical care, like you being a nutritionist, you understanding nutrition, you understanding all the stuff that you know about the body and your interaction with actual nourishment, for the species, like understanding our species specific
Mhm.
diet. What do you feel is
Wow,
really missing? Go
cucumbers.
ahead.
No, I was just saying. Finish your question. I'm like, yeah, I got nutrition on my countertop always.
Yeah. So, like, what do you feel like that's the component that is really missing in the medical field? Because, full disclosure for myself, my mother's a doctor, and she battles with all sorts of health conditions. She takes all sorts of medication. She's dealing with all sorts of situations and complications with her health, and she's a
Yeah.
doctor, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that nutritional piece is really missing from the whole medical field. Maybe at least in the West. I don't know about the East, but I know here in the West that seems to be missing.
Yeah, it's called allopathic medicine. It's like, you know, cut and remove the problem, not addressing the root cause. Um, I don't want to speak too much on that because these platforms are watching, and there's people who have economic interest in the truth not being disseminated.
Okay, I got you.
So, but yeah, I mean, Yeah, there's definitely a shortage of nutritional awareness from our medical professionals, but we're living in better time. There are a lot more integrative, holistic, hybrid, osteopathic
Mm,
people who try to incorporate a more holistic understanding of the body.
mm,
So we're making progress, but yeah, our medical care system is it's good for gunshot wounds,
mhm,
bleeding out, amputations, emergencies. It's great for emergencies,
mhm.
accidents. It's great.
Like acute,
But
like acute things. Yeah, like
yeah,
treating.
but like holistic, like health,
Mhm.
like we don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. Um, and they have their malpractice degree,
Mm,
their malpractice license, and they have their formal miseducation. And so they have their, brains bombarded with BS, as John Rose would say.
mm.
So they've
Yeah,
just, and they have a funded, they have their education has been lobbied for. It's economically, there's economic interest in them not teaching the solutions. They might know that they might have access to the solutions, but there's an economic agenda to not teach the solution.
and I teach it. Okay, that's the divide. Okay,
And
okay.
just in general, like, right, like the medical, um, the experts, they don't educate their patients typically on cause and effect,
Right.
right? Because yeah, it's the
Because
legal,
at
it's
any
the legal,
time,
it's the legal drug trade. It's the legal drug trade.
because at any
That's
time
what it is.
while you were in the hospital, did they ever ask you about your diet? Did they ever ask you about, like what you ate or?
Yeah. They asked. I mean, they were essentially surprised at how healthy I was. um, they were
Wow.
very surprised because I told them at the time that I had been on a vegan diet for about a year at that time, and they were
Mm,
just so they just didn't understand, but they also did understand. Like,
yeah.
dang, like you're too healthy for us to make more problems out of this,
Mm,
you know.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I want to bring up this point too. When I finally got out of the hospital and I was at home taking the codeine and the morphine and things like that, the narcotics. Um, this is why I have such gratitude for cannabis because a friend of mine called me. Was like, "Hey man, you at home? I'm coming through with a spliff or whatever, with a joint."
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he came through. He rolled it up. He lit it on fire. I inhaled it, and um, I sprang up out of bed. It was
Wow.
like, and so from that moment, I didn't finish my prescription
Hmm.
because I was like, well, this doesn't have the side effects of that. This is just a plant that I can just eat or make tea and I feel better. Like literally, like cannabis just got me out of the fetal position and onto my feet. And
Wow.
it allowed me the pain freeness to take deeper breaths and to
Okay.
do more yoga poses, to do my cat cows and essentially I self medicated myself back to full health. My
Yeah.
parents came to visit me, and I was like, buy me fruits. And they bought me a bunch of fruits, and I was eating oranges and grapefruits and making ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I ate. I mean, I think I had a couple salads here and there, but that's all I ate throughout my recovery time.
Man, man.
Yeah,
Good on you just for like healing yourself. It's so powerful when we realize that it's in our hands, that we
yeah,
have the power to heal ourselves when we have the right knowledge. And
yes,
I love that, you utilize this, plant medicine. You're saying cannabis was allowing you to catapult you out of that consciousness, out of that contamination, out of that calamity, like you were in that, steeped in that and taking all this. I mean, you said codeine. I heard people taking promethazine and codeine. They call that lean where I'm from. They
I
on
knew about
lean.
lean. I was living in Atlanta. I knew all about lean. I was like,
Right.
hey, it's the same thing Future was talking about. I just got some. Yay, I should be happy, but I don't like this. This is chemicals. I don't want this.
Right, right. So, my goodness, just as you were speaking as well, we had Ellie Eaton in the comment, and Ellie Eaton she said that when I was in the hospital, all they give you is Jello, beef broth, and electrolyte Gatorade, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to ask for a vegetarian diet. I basically had to have people bring me food. I had my cousins bring me coconut water, and
Mhm.
I just wanted to get home as soon as possible because literally it was like this food is not healthy. They don't even there's no sunlight in this room. Like there's no fresh air. It's like this is not a place conducive to healing. Like it's a laboratory of experimentation. Anyways,
Mhm.
the temple
Someone,
of
right before I
sacrifice.
asked, there's just one more question I had, but before I asked that, someone actually asked a question that I wasn't thinking of. It is a Gem Show. So Gem Show said, "What's your take on breatharianism, Jordan? Do you have a take on breatharianism?"
Um, yeah, I think breath is the first food, and your last breath is your last supper. So yeah, um, I think uh, I don't think we need to. So I don't feel. I think breatharianism is not something that people should try to do. I think it's a specific initiation that some of us are called towards in terms of our ascension as a species.
So just like the Kemetic teachings, like the Kemetic initiation that you went through, you're saying this is like another different type of initiation.
Yeah, and I don't think, but it's not one that anyone can give you. Is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
It's a self-induced, spiritually induced initiation based off of what your spirit, what your soul, what your true being, not your body, but based off what you're ready for.
Hmm.
It's my experience that when people try to push something from an intellectual standpoint, trying to justify that we don't need food, it's like, no, we have a digestive system. So we are designed to eat food. But can you train the body? Can you sharpen your spirit to a point where can you train your body to extract its nutrients from a non-physical form?
Mm.
I believe that that is absolutely possible. But is that practical, realistic, or even necessary for most people? Like we have fruit. Like you get to eat food that tastes good. Like you get to produce saliva and you have teeth and you have a digestive system, you have an esophagus, you have an anus, and there's no reward. Like you don't get cool points for being food free. It's not a competition, you know?
For sure, it's not. Definitely not a competition. Thank you for your take on it. Thank you for just having a refreshing view and a perspective on something that is widely misunderstood in the collective. A lot of people don't really even understand like what is that? Why? How? So I really appreciate that. Really
Yeah.
appreciate that
I
point that you
think I
made.
think I think the internet just makes things too trendy. Like I think people just let their egos take over and they just like I said, I think people just want recognition, honestly. And I think that creates a whole colony of people who are kind of harming themselves, maybe teaching unrealistic or unsustainable practices.
Mm.
Um, and that can happen. But if you remove the ego and you teach people what the purpose is, um, it's just like celibacy, right? Like if every human being on the planet were celibate, we would stop to exist, right?
For
That
sure.
you would need to reproduce. So it's obvious that not everyone on the planet is meant to be a total celibate, ascetic, monk
Hmm.
person. So I think it's the same with breatharianism. It's like there's some people who, based off their journey, their higher calling, they are called to release an attachment from food so
Hmm.
that they can be closer to the divine and actually channel some of the divine wisdom for us humans.
Wow.
But we don't all have to do that in order to be there. Like it's not learn your purpose, learn your as the New York as my New Yorker friends say, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. So it's not like it's not for the chosen few. You're saying it's for the few who choose.
For the few who are many are called, few are chosen.
Right. And few choose for sure. You're like you
Exactly.
having that
Few,
soul calling within.
even fewer answer the call.
You're right. You're right. When that telephone rings, you got to pick it up, you know? So thank you. Just thank you for that. You know, I appreciate that take on it. It's
Hmm.
really a fresh take from your perception, your perspective that
Yes.
we need right now because the last thing I wanted to ask was I mean, you talked about Dr. Aris Latham and he's traveled the world, but you've also traveled the world. You know, you said you've been to Ecuador, you've been to Thailand. And was it in Thailand that you learned Thai massage or was it somewhere else?
Yes, yes. I was exposed to Thai massage in the US, but I was referred to the source to go to Thailand. So I went to Thailand and I lived in Chiang Mai and Bangkok for a little bit. And I studied with the indigenous people there in the ancient art of Nuat Boran,
Mhm.
or Nuat Thai, which is ancient massage, is how it translates in their language. It's an ancient form of medicine that they use to heal. It's energy medicine and physical medicine.
Mhm.
It is movement, touch, and breathing.
Yeah.
So I learned that in Thailand, yes.
Beautiful. So how did learning Thai massage, like how did learning these techniques, these methods, these modalities, like how did that not only change you, but how were you able to witness through administering this, you know, and like facilitating this, changing other people's lives? How have you seen other people's lives change through Thai massage as well?
Hmm. Essentially, recognizing the importance of touch and movement,
Mm.
but there are people who move who don't get touch. So specifically recognizing touch and healing touch as new nourishment and medicine, like actually realizing that it is a form of nutrition for your body and your soul and your mind to have this connection. Like they, there's, they've done studies like the children who don't receive touch, babies will die sooner if they're not held, if they're not cradled.
Hmm.
So it's like we never outgrow that need to be held,
Mm.
to be suspended, to have to even just the benefits of like lying flat on a semi-firm surface.
Mm.
Like you wouldn't do a Thai massage on like a squishy, soft bed or anything. It's using the foundation of the floor and a little bit of padding as the means to liberate your body
Yes.
from its hardness.
Yes, and speaking of the floor, I saw that you put on your story. If I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. You said that it's been over a decade that you've been sleeping on the floor. Like you haven't used any bedding or any mattresses or anything. It's just all been on the floor.
So I'm not a homeowner, so I don't always get to sleep on the floor these days as often as I would like to.
Okay.
But that adds to my perspective that like I feel like the number one thing degenerating me right now is that I sleep on a bed.
Wow. Wow. The number one thing?
The number one thing.
Wow. Okay, please you have to break that down. Just for the last point. Like why is that the number one thing?
So when you don't when you sleep on a soft surface, especially spring, and so you're suspended, your muscles are suspended in space. They are never fully you're not fully relaxed into a surface that absorbs all of the buoyancy, the suspension. You're
Right.
suspended. So you don't really get into deep I think delta state. Like you don't really get into deep delta states of relaxation because your muscles are constantly firing. They're trying to catch them, so they're trying to. Your muscles are constantly firing because they're not settled and grounded on a firm surface,
Right.
right? So I mean, you could theoretically sleep on a bed. It would just need to be very like firm and rigid.
Like a
And
military mattress or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can add levels of like padding for your joints, but even the whole pain that people experience is not because of the bed. It's because of the inflammation in their bodies that is exposed when they sleep on a firm surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're humans. Like when did you think the first bed with springs was invented? Like we've been sleeping on the earth.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
look at every animal other than humans.
Yeah.
They will just find a spot. They don't need shoes. They don't need mattresses to sleep.
Right.
It's comfortable for them. Their body has a way of conforming and having suppleness, a way of conforming to the rigid floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this through being a Thai massage therapist that when you stretch people's bodies against the floor, you create more suppleness and um, fluidity in their joints, so it becomes more comfortable to lie on a flat, firm surface.
Yes, yes. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. I ask you because, like, I also sleep on the floor. Like, I don't have, I mean, this room came with different stuff, but I don't
What I'm
have a
saying,
bed.
I can't take the bed out of the room that I'm sleeping in. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a bed in here. I hardly ever, sit on there, but I sleep right here. My tent is right there. And the
Yeah,
best sleep that I've ever got. Oh, there's my cat. My cat just chilling right
yeah,
there. But the best sleep that I've ever gotten was in my tent, was actually outside in my tent.
yeah,
Still to this day, even though I sleep on the floor, the best sleep I've ever gotten was in my tent.
yeah.
Just in, on mother's belly, as they say, you know? So, I mean, it's just amazing to talk about this because for years I was sleeping on the bed, I was sleeping on the mattress, and I mean, I had all sorts of sleeping problems. I had sleep apnea, I had, I was waking up in the
Yeah.
middle of the night, and they tried to do this and that. They did surgery on, they said I had a deviated nasal septum. They gave me a CPAP machine to help me sleep, and then all this stuff. And a lot of that was dietary as well. There was
Hmm.
dietary problems that were inhibiting, giving me a lot of mucus, giving me a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of congestion and a lot of inflammation in that way. But as well, it wasn't doing me any favors to be on that fluffy, to be on a fluffy bed that, like you said, your skeleton, your muscles, your bone is not really relaxed, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, I mean, if people, even if they can't transition, I would say, make small changes, right? The first thing I would recommend is getting rid of pillows.
Mm.
It's like, why would you sleep? Why would you elevate your head out of alignment with your spine?
Wait. Oh my God, the way you say it, like it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like why? Like think. Why would you do that? Yeah. Out of alignment. So once again, you're like, why would you elevate your head out of alignment with your spine on purpose? Like intentionally putting yourself in a misalignment. Oh my God, that's what
I had
we've
a,
been doing with
I had a,
pillows.
I had a massage a couple weeks ago. Actually, my massage therapist is in the chat. I saw her, Famia Divine, and
Okay.
she mentioned to me, she was like, "Wow, Jordan, you don't have, I don't know what the word that technic, I think is maybe, I don't know if she
Tech,
called it,
tech neck.
but she
Yep.
was so surprised when doing my session. She was like, you don't have technic. Like your head is over your shoulders. That's strange. Like, why, first of all, why is that strange that my
Exactly.
head is over my shoulders? But I think the number one reason is because I don't. use pillows behind my head when I sleep. I mean, sleeping on the side, you can justify it a little bit more,
Mm.
but even still, it's like, okay, a little bit of padding is fine. Like when I sleep on the floor, I typically will take like my scarf and I'll just like fold it a little bit just to create some cushion for the back of my skull, right? Or something between the gap of my neck. But yeah, I would say remove the pillows or at least get way less thick. You don't need a pillow this thick that's hard, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I've had people, because I've lived in so many different places and I've stayed in hostels and things like that. That's why I wanted to keep it real that, like, no, I've used the bed in the past decade because I
Mm-hmm.
don't just, it's just not possible for me to sleep on the floor everywhere that I go when I'm
Right.
not in my own home, right? Um, but yeah, get rid of the pillows or get rid of the extra fluffy pillows. Or if they're really fluffy, make sure they're really soft. There's some pillows that like all the air will go out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen those. Those can be helpful because it's like it doesn't boost your head up so high, you know, it like your head sinks into it, right?
Right.
So those will be fine as well. But yeah, no, I can go into a whole there's so much about body alignment and postural integrity that I can go into and just how the colon also affects our posture, right? Because when the colon is expanded out because you overeat and you don't have strong abdominal muscles,
Mm-hmm.
when the colon is bulged out, then that's pulling on all of the fascial points in all of your extremities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your neck pain is probably associated with having a inflamed colon.
Wow.
Your back pain is probably associated with having an inflamed colon.
Wow.
Most
Wow.
people have pain when they go to sleep or wake up. Your stiffness
Yeah.
is, attributed to the amount of starch that you eat.
Yeah. And we're eating late at night, late in the evening, those late
Yeah.
night meals, the
Working
midnight
on it
meals.
myself. I'm, not, it's not a bad thing, but I'm working on making sure, daylight dining, making sure I'm
Mm-hmm.
done eating by the time that the sun goes down. Or if I'm eating after sundown, it's, only water rich, like fruits or very light salad. Or
Mm-hmm.
luckily I'm a night owl. Like I can get away with eating at 9 or 10 p.m. because I'm still gonna be up till 3 or 4. So I have time to let that meal go down. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Before
Yeah.
actually laying down to go to sleep. So, you
Great
know,
point, though. Great point about the swollen colon. When the colon is swollen, then we're not controlling, all those things
hello.
that are, everything is connected. There's no separation. Once again, there's no
Uh,
divide, it's all connected to everything else.
yes,
So,
sir.
man, this has been beautiful, brother. Thank you for this talk. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Like, thank you for speaking, and just thank you for teaching on not only these subjects, like these things that we need to learn, like the knowledge that we didn't get in college, but also your personal journey, like your personal hardships, your personal hurdles, your setbacks, your pain points, and talking about the gratitude that you have and the attitude that you have for the down points, for the adversity, the obstacles that you face and overcame and are
Yep.
still, being sustained in this lifestyle. I mean, much
Yes.
respect, my brother. Seriously. So if this is somebody's first time seeing you, if you have a website, if you have any offerings, if you have any services that people can go to be a part of or to get in tune with you even more, what's the best place for people to go to receive that?
The best place right now is to just shoot me a DM on Instagram or
Okay.
shoot me an email. You can find that email in my profile. I also do have a one-on-one consultation at the link in my bio.
Okay.
Because I am raising a young family right now. I have a 8-month-old baby girl.
Yes.
So I'm more so focused on fatherhood and just legacy building in that regard. So I'm not taking on a whole bunch of clientele at the moment. I'm not putting out a whole bunch of content, but
Understood.
you can find me on YouTube. The artist formerly known as Jordan the Frugivore.
Gotcha.
You can find that on YouTube. But yeah, the best way would be, I have a fruit detox guide that's at the link in my bio where you can get started on cleansing out your colon using just your average, ordinary, everyday fruits. You don't need any special herbs. You don't need any special equipment. You don't even need a blender, even though a blender is very helpful. But you can just, heal yourself by eating nothing but fruits for a period of time. and that will allow you the reset to your colon, to your mind, body, and spirit, to
Beautiful.
allow you to be more receptive to the even higher echelons of knowledge that are waiting for you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Awesome, brother. Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Well, enjoy family, Christina, Zion, like the whole family, just
Mm.
enjoy that and just, man, and enjoy the rest of your day, brother. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure and joy. I love the audience that we've cultivated, and looking forward to checking out your books as well, and seeing more of these conversations, these enlightened transmissions that you host here.
Gratitude. Gratitude. All right, brother. Wholeness.
All
Take
right,
care.
brother. Peace. Hotep Ma'at.